Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and today I'm joined by Eric.
Ho Terry.
We are back for Don't Touch My Grapes, our continued Falcon Crest coverage. Today we are discussing Season 3, episodes 11 through 16. So I'll roll the credits and we'll jump right into it. Can we talk about Julia first?
Wait, I wanted to say real quick, it should be called Can't Touch My Grapes from Melissa Agretti. Because it's like about everybody trying to get her grapes.
Right.
But yes, of course, Julia, my
Let's
girl.
talk about jail. um,
Yeah.
so I can't tell like if it's a mixture of both, but like I can't tell if this guard is keeping her drunk or high.
I think it was alcohol first, but switched to pills, as far as I
Okay.
know. But they don't really show her give them anymore. She just kind of says it, I think.
But I feel like it's making her like crazy.
I don't know if it's the pills I feel like she actually is faking,
Do
which we'll
you?
talk about. I do, because remember when Richard visits?
Which time?
Uh, I forget which. Let's go over from the beginning where it starts with her.
So we see Valerie, who we thought was gone, and she got beat up.
Hey, I have a note about Valerie. I looked her up. She was I think, she's the original Valerie Grant on Days of Our Lives
Oh, really?
from 75 to 77. Her name is Tina Andrews.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I thought that was fun, a fun tidbit.
Hmm.
But yeah, Valerie's getting her ass handed to her.
By guards, not inmates.
Yeah, so what they said something like referring to a treatment. And I guess if somebody acts out of line, they kind of just start beating them,
Hmm.
which isn't which sounds actually probably like something would happen in the 80s like that. But
It probably still happens. They just don't talk about it because it's
yeah,
not supposed to happen.
all right, it shouldn't be happening, especially with guards doing it.
I mean, one would think that the punishment for acting out would be solitary confinement.
I also think I wonder if it's like a woman's fight club almost. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know, because they say the treatment, they like allude to things, but they don't show it happening. She
But
just looks worse
she has like black
every time
eyes
she.
and like bloodied lips. She looks like she's been
Yeah,
beat up.
it's a sin. I thought I remembered her just disappearing, but I guess not. She just gets tortured.
I guess we're done with her now because, well, we'll
I
get to
believe
it.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I liked her. I wish we got more, like maybe her getting out of prison,
yeah,
like being an actual character.
yeah. I always wish that for certain things because she was a good character. It would be nice to see a follow up, but
Yeah.
no.
So what also confused me is because about like if it was the guards doing it or the prisoners doing it is the first time Julia tries to talk to her, I guess in the cafeteria or the
Yeah.
dining area, whatever it is. Um, and she's like, "Stay away from me! Like I don't want anything to do with you." And she's all beat up. You see another like prisoner that's been messing with Julia, kind of looking at Valerie, like she'll beat her up. So that's why I was like, is it a combination of the guards and the prisoners, or is it one or the
That's
other?
what my that's what made me think it was like a fight club. Like a like a it would make sense like the guards probably get together and watch the girls fight. That's what I'm
Oh my
in
god,
my head I'm thinking. I mean, I could be going way deep, but it's not that deep.
like a like a chicken
But
fight
that's
or a dog fight.
right. And I must make a correction. I think I said the lady's name was Sally Kellerman, but it's actually Sally Kirkland, the one that was on Days of Our Lives, the blonde that is messing with Julia in jail.
Who was she on days?
When Sammy was in hiding
Oh, right.
she's the blonde, and she actually won a Best Supporting Actress for that role
For
on
days.
yeah, for Days in 1999. I looked it up because I wanted to see what she won the Oscar for, but she actually won a Golden Globe for a movie, but in
Oh.
1988. But anywho,
So Richard goes to visit her a few times. The first time with Pamela, and they do this thing where, like, I guess they quote literature and they kind of like bounce off of each other, and I'm like, when did this start happening? Like, when did they have this rapport? Like, if anything, he would have that with Emma, not Julia.
I think she just kind of started it to help the crazy thing go along. Kind
Okay.
of like she's going mad, like she's like just reverting to poetry and like,
Okay.
and he knows it, so he goes along with it.
They want to transfer her, them, I guess, meaning the facility wants to transfer her to like a mental institution
Well, that's after he drives her crazy, right?
after Richard drives her crazy. Oh,
Or
right, right.
the no, no.
Because the second time he visits her, he talks about that he's going to be a father.
Oh no, wait, that's the second time. That's when she's in the psych ward. I'm sorry. So she's in jail.
Oh, okay.
He talks to her there. And then I think the doctor sees Julia, the new or the old psychiatrist, that whatever
Mm-hmm.
from earlier in the season, talks
Mm-hmm.
to Julia, and she says, "I see blood stains," and she starts talking
Oh,
crazy
right. And then
because
she's
I
like
think she,
grabs like all of the images and she's like, they're all blood stains. Like, she's like,
yeah,
and you think
she's
she's
working
faking
it.
that?
She's faking it. Yeah, I know she's faking it.
Oh, all right.
Especially after Richard sees her the first time, and
Right.
he's like, "Oh, she's faking," like he can tell. But Pamela's like, "Oh, she's great," so she's fooling Pam, but she ain't fooling Richard.
Um, so yeah, so they transfer to a mental a psych facility, and she sees Valerie like one last time, and that made me sad because then I was like, oh, Valerie's probably gonna die in prison.
Yeah, yep, and it's because of Julia.
Yeah,
Not really because of her directly, but I mean, just for talking to her and being nice to her, really,
right.
like her
Um,
only friend.
but then in the psych ward, Pam and Richard go to visit her, and he says that he's gonna be a father, and she's like, oh, congratulations, and she's like, I'm gonna be a grandmother. And he was like, well, you're already a grandmother. And she's like, yeah, but everybody, she's like, it's common knowledge that like Cole is the father of Joseph. I'm like, is it
Yeah,
common knowledge? Everybody knows.
yeah. I guess at least in the family.
Right. And she's like, I mean, like, um Melissa's pregnant or whatever, and then he lets it loose that he's the father of Melissa's baby, and that makes her nuts. um
Yeah,
she lashes out, she gets pulled away, and he has a smirk on his face that he did that.
that's what he wanted. And then a doctor tells the family later that she's catatonic after that. And
Hmm.
that's the last we see of Julia for a little bit.
Is she gone for a few episodes?
Yeah, just for a few episodes. And I think like when we start up again, it kicks back her story in the like high gear.
Okay.
That's the best part of her story. It's my favorite. It
Yes,
is. Because she's so
16,
smart.
16 episodes in, and it doesn't really feel like they've stretched this prison. I guess if you were watching it week to week, you would probably feel the time more. But because we're
Yeah.
watching it, it doesn't feel that bad that they stretched it this long. Uh,
No, it's her comeuppance. Like you know, she needed like you know she killed people. Unfortunately, you need to pay for it, and she does get tormented this season pretty much. So
yeah. Um. So I don't get Philip. Like, he's working for Richard, but he's also working for Angela. And I don't understand why he's being so disloyal to Angela. Like, I thought he loved her.
he is not. He is keeping Angela out of things because he knows how she is. Like she's controlling, and she would want to take control. So he's trying to do that like things behind her back to actually help her because right remember we're gonna talk about what happened with why she wants to ruin Falcon Crest now. So
Why Angela wants to ruin Falcon Crest?
yeah, because with
Okay,
Chase,
so
God,
Angela is like going through her papers, I guess, and she notices that the contract that Melissa signed is missing. And we saw
yeah,
that Philip had stolen it and given it to Melissa. So he's like, oh, does he say something like, oh, I'll just have a new a copy made or from the original, or I'll draw up a new one. And she just seems like so nonchalant. Like, yeah, just get her to sign it. She signed it once before. She'll sign it again. Just very matter of fact. But
Right.
then when she brings it up to Melissa, Melissa's like, I never signed that. What are you talking about? Are you going crazy? Like, what? I would never do that. My grapes belong to Richard.
I think she burned that contract, but
Did
Philip had
she?
kept the original one. Yeah,
Okay.
Melissa burned it. Yeah.
Yeah, because then Philip like turns on Melissa at one point, and I'm like, I
Yes.
don't understand where your loyalty is.
So what he did was I think he blocked everybody from getting her grapes. Basically, he blocked Chase, he blocked everything. So we got to start with why though, because Chase wants to go back to the original contract for when his dad died,
The
where
will.
he owns all the land. Yeah, that's why Angela is kicked out of Falcon Crest basically for now.
Right, but not out of her home because they
Right.
like, came storming, and she was like, the home and the vineyard is two separate things.
But that's why Philip's doing it because she can't do anything with Falcon Crest. So Philip's going behind everybody's back, trying to make sure he gets the grapes so he can do what they want with it for Angela,
Is that
basically.
is that why she really doesn't have a say in this whole
Yes.
Falcon Crest making champagne now?
Yeah, she has zero say in anything right now.
Look at you understanding business.
I know.
That would never happen on
But
Dallas.
oh my God, that was so confusing.
Maybe you have a future in the wine industry.
It's tricky though. It is really tricky because I was confused too. And I'm like, okay, because I see like why he blocked everybody from getting grapes. And that's why it forces Melissa into signing that thing
Mhm.
for her to sell the grapes to him. And he's doing it for Angela, which Angela thinks she's being backstabbed too. But he's like, no, I'm doing it for you because you can't do anything, but I'm not telling you because you start shit. So you know how Angela is. You got to play it this way, and she'll respect it later. She's crazy.
We talked to
Dr. Landry, maybe
Dr. Landry. So he's done.
he's done. I told you
Um,
he was still around though for a while.
yeah, I didn't remember him being, but I didn't remember him being around this long. But like when the motel stuff was happening, as it was happening, I remembered it. I was like, oh yes, I do remember that. But I guess I thought it all happened quickly earlier in the season and it didn't last like the whole half season. So he's like being hidden away at a motel by Angela, right?
Yeah,
Another thing I
she's
didn't
trying to get
realize,
him out of the country.
she's trying to get him out of the country, and he said something. He had a scene, I think, with Philip, where Philip says that your family will be taken care of, and he says, "How long? 6 months, a year?" Like he's like, "I have kids; they need to be taken care of for at least 18 years."
Well, he's four. Yeah, he's four kids.
Right.
Hence why
Um,
he was selling drugs on the side.
and also tasting his own drugs because apparently he's addicted to morphine.
Yeah, apparently.
That felt like a last minute addition to the story.
I know that was bizarre,
um,
but kind of cool.
so also funny. Oh, and Lance followed Philip, so he knows where Lantry is. He was like stalking him from
Yeah.
the car. I thought it was funny that Chase could get the upper hand on Lance and pin him down, even though he
Hmm.
was leg paralyzed a few episodes ago.
Hmm.
He like hit
All
him
right,
with
episode.
a wrench and held him down
Yeah,
with his leg on his arm.
and threatened them.
But
And Lance was scared.
one thing I did notice when Lance got up, he was holding the wrong arm that that Chase had his foot on. Like was
That's
holding
funny.
the wrong one. I was like, that's not correct.
Well, maybe he hurt his other arm when he went down to the ground.
um, but this all happened because Lance like came and like was fake apologizing for sabotaging everything. He was just doing what his
Yeah.
grandmother told him to do. And then they get into it, and Chase hits him in the stomach with a wrench.
Yeah.
And pins him down and is like, I know you know where Lantry is, and like forces him to like tell him.
Yeah.
So then he immediately calls the cops. But when they get there, Lantry has already like he didn't leave to like escape. He just like left to get I don't know cigarettes or something,
A paper or something.
papers. But he sees that the motel is like flooded with cops, so he like sneaks away before anybody could see him.
Yeah.
They find, I guess, the empty vial of morphine, and that's how we're led to know that he's doing morphine.
Yeah.
But apparently he has like a cabin in the woods, maybe like a vacation home.
Yeah, I think Chase finds that out from the other doctor that sold him the drugs to sell or whatever.
And Cole and Chase go to the cabin,
Yeah.
and Lantry's like got his arm wrapped. He's about to like shoot up some morphine.
Yeah.
But like
Having a good time.
Cole and Chase arrive, and there's like a struggle. Chase gets the upper hand on Lantry, and he tells Cole, I guess, to go get the Jeep.
Yeah.
So Cole is like off the scene, but Lantry gets away, locks himself inside the cabin. And do you think he
Lantry
did
does come clean. Lantry does come clean first. He does admit things, and then he does it on purpose. Yeah.
You think he killed himself, or he just accidentally? Okay.
Yep. I think he was trying to kill himself.
So he basically injects a whole vial of morphine that would kill him.
Yeah, because you remember he said like, I took enough morphine that would kill a horse or something, so he knew he
Right.
was gonna die,
Right.
basically. But then they kind of save him because he's on life support for a little bit.
That really sucks.
Good.
Like, no, just like I'm just thinking about like anybody being in a situation where they feel like they'd be better off dead than having to deal with the consequences of it.
Yeah, he's even said, I think he did mention, like, he talked about, like, going and coming clean at one point, but I guess ultimately maybe he thought of his family and was just like, it's probably better off if I'm dead. Maybe they'll get money and then that'll pay for the kids and stuff.
Well, they're not gonna get any life insurance money because that doesn't happen if you commit suicide.
But if you're a doctor, I guess you get something.
Maybe. But there's also like, people that think like I'll never survive prison, so they just like kill themselves before.
Yeah. Oh, and look what Julia's going through. They might not survive prison.
Right. Nice little full circle moment.
And that's pretty much the end of him.
Yeah. I like that actor and other things I've seen him in.
He's good. Ron Rifkin, he's great.
So Terry is a hoe, obviously, hence her name, Hoe Terry.
Damn.
I just don't. So I hate her less because I know that I end up liking her. Remember when I was like, I wonder how I'm gonna view this. But she's bad girl.
She is bad. And then and I guess Angela isn't helping things. I mean, but I don't know, because Terry's already bad. So Angela's just making her be worse.
She's just holding her past over her that she's gonna tell everybody in the valley that she's a hoe.
I feel like if I were
she's
a
actively hoeing. Like she's like sleeping with Lance, who's married, and flaunting it literally in front of his wife, but also sleeping with Michael.
Yeah. And I think doesn't she takes Michael out to like a bar just to see his reaction, like if somebody hits on her.
And then poor Emma. Emma's like got it in her head because like puppy love. She like wants to be with Michael. And she shows up at the house, and I think he says he's expecting company, so she leaves, but she watches as Terry arrives.
Yeah, she brought him Chinese food.
Yeah.
She's so cute. I'm like, how could this would have been a perfect like man for Emma, I feel like.
I feel like the guy that she's with in season 5 was perfect, and I'm mad that they killed him.
Like we don't in season 5. We can't talk about that.
Okay, I said, man, I didn't say his name.
Well, now everyone knows there's a man in season 5.
Or maybe it's
there
6.
isn't. No, it's 5. Love that guy. He's in Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, one of my favorite 80s movies ever.
That checks out. He looks like an Elvira guy.
Mm-hmm.
Elvira stud, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so I laughed because I'm getting ahead of myself. So Maggie is investigating this whole racetrack thing. But she can't get anywhere. Nobody will talk to her.
Yeah.
But she kind of wants to quit, and Emma's like, no, don't, like, she's like, you really got to do some investigative journalism, and she's just like, I feel like Richard's up to no good with this. And they kind of come, Emma's like, maybe you should write the story about Richard, like take him down in his own paper.
Well, I thought it was Jacqueline, not Richard. Is it?
Oh, it was Jacqueline.
Yeah, she's doing a story on Jacqueline.
Oh, I thought she was doing the racetrack. Jacqueline's
No,
connected to the racetrack.
no. The racetrack was the dead end for her, so she couldn't go anywhere. So she decides, or Emma helps her decide for to do the Jacqueline one. Because remember, she talks to Richard, and
Right.
and he's like, I don't want you to do the Jacqueline story. She's like, well, I feel like there's a lot of good I can do with this story. I want to do it for Chase. I want to do it for me. Like
Hmm.
um to find out more about Jacqueline, because Jacqueline's like this power that we didn't know. Like
Yeah.
it's so powerful. It goes on until season 4, so it's really cool.
um. So Maggie's on the phone with her father and
Mm.
talking about him using the money that she sent him to vacation and do things, and he lets it known that he gave the money to Terry, and she's like, I gotta go, and she's like, bitch, get down here. And
Pretty
Terry's
much. I
like,
thought I
is this
thought the dad
important? I
being
was out all night. She's like, and Maggie's like, it's
yeah.
important enough to get out of bed.
I thought I remembered the dad being there when it happened,
So did
but
I.
because I know the
Visit.
dad comes. The
Yeah,
dad does come. I
yeah,
just so I guess soon. He's got to come soon. Probably
maybe.
in the next few. 'Cause I'm pretty sure he comes before her mom does, or later. Sorry,
Yeah.
season 4.
So Maggie basically is like, get out, you ain't shit, like, you're a hoe, get the fuck out of here.
She's devastated because it's her
Yeah,
sister, and she took all the money. Like if Holly would have been one thing if she got like 10,000 out of them, but since she took the whole 25,000 and it's gone,
yeah.
she's like, dude, like this was for dad. Like what the fuck?
Apparently she bought the car that broke down on her way to get there, specifically to get there.
Apparently.
So we don't really know where she's gonna end up, but then she ends up at Michael's.
But wait, remember she at first he gives her a check. He's because like it's all about money for her. He's like, right, Chase writes her a $500 check,
500, and she's like, add
and
another
she's
zero and I'm out of here. And Maggie's like, get out.
no, Maggie like screams at her and like has a breakdown. It's a sin.
Right.
I'm like, that's why I wasn't a big. I mean, I love Laura Johnson. She is good in this role, but but Terry is a hard one to like. And then like every time I'm like, oh, I kind of like her, and she's an asshole again. I'm like, oh, she just does some asshole things, man.
Even just like her swimming with Lance constantly in the pool, and Melissa's like right there, and like she's like, why don't you join us? Like, are you down for a threesome? Like, what's happening?
She's down for whatever. She just wants to stir up shit. That's all she wants to do. She's very good at it. And I love Angela and Terry's chats though. They have like tea time.
Yeah,
And Angela's like,
Angela wanted her to spy on Chase and Maggie and report back to her, but now she's no
right.
longer in the house. But somehow she convinces Angela that being in Michael's house is still a good way for her to get information about
It
him.
is.
She's like, but he doesn't talk about himself. And she's like, well, he better, otherwise everyone's going to know about you.
And then she convinces Angela that she can get Michael to marry her.
Yeah.
So we're like, how are you gonna do this? How? But Michael's very what is the word? I can't think of how to explain him. He's just like in a funk, like because of what happened previous. Like remember he tells the story, breaks down to her
Mm-hmm.
at one part. So
See,
he's
remember when I
very
was like, when he first came in, I was like, is he the Nick Toscani of the show?
no.
And you're like,
No,
I feel like there's elements of him that are very Nick.
I don't think so. Nick was a dick, dude. Like this, Michael's actually like a caring man. Like actually he cares about his job. He cares about his family. Nick had
No,
nobody.
I know
What?
that, but like he's a doctor, like Nick was. He has like
Right,
this secret reason why he's here, like Nick did. But he's not malicious, but like I feel like
right.
there's like the bones are there.
I mean, I guess so, but I would never compare him to Nick. Nick was horrible, and Michael is not. Michael's actually a good man.
I
It's
laughed
different.
because Terry's staying with Michael. I almost said Nick. With Michael. They're sleeping together, but he's like, okay, now go back to your room. Like he doesn't want to sleep with her.
Because he's like afraid to like he's vulnerable, and Terry knows it. So Terry knows that she can use this to her advantage, and it does work eventually,
Yeah.
um,
Like
multiple times.
cuddling's too intimate for him. We had sex, now go to your room.
Right. Like that's why I feel like Emma would have been perfect for him. That's what he needs. He needs somebody like Emma where he can just go on dates and have a nice time and maybe fall in love again like that. But Terry's just like up his ass, because once his money, and then she's having Lance on the side. So, sounds like a dream. You have a hot man on the side, a rich man to sleep with too. Why not?
Which even though she's flaunting it in front of Melissa, I guess he doesn't know that she's also messing around with Lance yet. Because
No, I don't think he knows. No,
why would he mess with her if she was with Lance? Like that's not
it's
his
it's
character.
coming. It's coming soon.
Yeah.
Chase and
Oh,
Maggie were really cute in these episodes. I love them. I love that this is a good season for them working together.
yeah. So I laughed when Chase is like totally against this racetrack being built. Like
Mm,
he tries to make an argument like, that this is an agricultural area, like if you want racing and all that stuff, like keep it in like the more metropolitan areas. Why destroy like the land, whatever. And I laughed because he's like in his office for like, I guess I don't even know what he does, the board that he's on for the water of the land. I don't know.
yeah, he's like a Senate person.
But I'm
I don't
like,
know exactly either.
how do you have the time to run Falcon Crest, be in the offices there, and then also have this office here? And like, there's not enough time in the day to do all that.
I guess because Cole helps with the land stuff, so I guess that's how he does it. And he probably has the office stuff for a few hours a day. I don't know how he balances it.
Yeah, and it would be more manageable if Vicky was around, your other child, to work.
Right, right. I feel like she could have been doing some things.
Yeah, like they could have wrote her that way. Whatever.
They could have just had her off screen and just been like, "Oh, that's Vicky's working at the winery today or wherever she needs to be." Just put her there.
Have her recurring and just have her like show up here and there.
Yeah,
Um,
I missed her presence, kind of. Like, I wish she was around.
um, I also still am loving Pam and Melissa's hatred for each other.
Well, yeah, Pam's always asking Richard, like, why do you like this woman? He's just like, I'm just using her until I don't need her anymore. But like,
Yeah,
Pamela hates her.
right.
I don't even think it's because Richard's sleeping. I don't think she's jealous or anything. I just think she just doesn't like that kind of woman because she knows how Melissa is.
I don't know why I got it. So Richard wants to basically bulldoze the vineyard. This
Yeah,
is for the racetrack or
I
no?
believe so.
It is.
Yeah, I believe so. Mhm.
And
It's
apparently,
kind of like a breaking the ground ceremony type thing.
yeah. So there's like a bulldozer or
Yeah.
whatever. But prior to this, I laughed because I don't know why I got a kick out of this, but Angel's like walking the fields, and she like eats
Oh,
grapes, and I was just like, don't touch them, don't eat them. And then I
but
wondered if
that's what
they were sour.
was that. That was when her and Chase met up, right?
Yeah,
In the fields,
and
and they
and
both
they like talk
that was a
about
good moment between them.
like their great grandfather, I think, planted
Right.
these. So that actually, like, I actually had a twinge of like, ugh, that sucks when Richard actually bulldozed some of them.
Yeah. But
Uh,
that moment I feel like is important down the line because this is kind of a moment where Angela is like Chase actually does care about the land. Even though she does some things still that are, sketchy. I think she kind of knows, they're both on the same level with how they care about the land. I think that's important for what's
So this is
coming.
another part that confused me because Richard knows that he has to play nice with Chase to get his money, his 25 million or 50, whatever.
Yeah.
So, and because Michael's the executor of that, he actually tells him, he's like, you're not really doing anything to get this money. And I just felt
Yeah.
like him bulldozing the vineyard, like, how is that going to help you get your 25 million?
Even Pamela says the same thing. She's like, I don't know why you're doing all this when you have 25 million you can get if you're just nice to Chase. Like,
Yeah.
like,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I don't.
Richard just wants to be a dick. Like, he just is unhappy, and he makes them happy to make them miserable. That's exactly what it seems like to me.
Do you think it's like jealousy and him acting out because like
Yes.
they had the family that he never had or whatever?
Yep. 100%.
So he's a man child.
Remember his dad was like a horrible man, like the one
Right.
that raised them.
Yeah.
And we
Oh,
find out in this that, oh, go ahead.
we never even like talked about the last where we left off. Like somebody died, like was shot, right?
Oh, right.
And then
Yeah, he was
like
dead in the
Richie's
car.
probably gonna get blamed for that because he was there. And then we didn't like immediately pick up from that scene. It was like later, like in his office. There was like, a man died and you were the only one that witnessed it.
Well, no, they talked about it right away in the beginning of the next episode. Richard and Pamela
Yeah, but they didn't like pick
talk.
up at the scene. Like it was like later.
Right. Oh, yeah. They were talking to Dan now, right?
Yeah. Who's having his health issues still, his acid reflux and his aorta or something. I don't know.
Something going on up in here.
Something's going on. And Michael's like, if you walk out that door, you're playing Russian roulette with your life. And he's like, I have a lot going on. I have like a murder mystery. I have to deal with this land.
So I did get the name. The name of that guy that died was John Osborne, and it was Richard's friend. So this is where the cartel hounds the show for the next season and a half. They
Right.
like loom. And Pamela used to work for the cartel, but now she doesn't work for the cartel anymore.
When she said that, I was like, how'd you get out though? That feels like a mob thing. Like the only way out is
Because she's not. Because she's not out. That's what the thing is. That's why this Spheris guy comes around, and you're gonna see him for many episodes to come.
Yeah, he looks familiar, and I don't know if he looks familiar because I remember him from this, or I've seen this actor in other things.
He's in a lot of stuff. If you look him, I think I looked him up years ago, and I did find that he was in a ton of things that I watched. He's like one of those just character actors that's in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but I feel like he always plays this type of role. Like he's just like this looming like villain.
And there's actually, I feel like someone bigger than him. This is just like the guy that's doing the groundwork for the bigger guy, which we meet later. I don't know if it's this season or next, but coming.
I don't know. There's parts of me that likes the cartel story, like parts of it because it's like very ominous and like you don't know what's gonna happen and people are dying. But then I'm just like, I get over it. I'm just like, what is our end goal? What do you want?
Yeah.
Like they just call it, what do they call it? The company or the business? That's how they refer to it.
This part I do understand. I've seen this in many shows where I think the cartel wants part of the racetrack. So if Richard gets the racetrack, they want in because it's money. They want the money, they want the power. So that's another thing. They want to control Richard.
Yeah.
So Richard,
it's a mob.
That's why Richard.
Right? It's like the mob.
It is. It's a mob thing. There's good cartels, I think, and there's bad ones. And this is
like even on Dallas, there's cartels, and I'm like, that.
Yes.
I remember before I had watched Dallas, like the first time I watched it, and they said a cartel, I was like, oh, the Ewings are involved in like mob stuff. Like I didn't.
No, but there's good ones. So that Dallas one cartel is a good one. That's a cartel you want to be a part of because actually they work together to help. This one is they want power and money or they'll kill you.
So is there such things as like legal cartels, or is it's always underground and like dirty like dealings?
I'm not 100% sure on that. I don't want to say I'm a professional cartel person.
Bevan, maybe. Ask Bevan next time you do Dallas. Maybe he'll know.
Yeah, I don't know. He might not. I don't know if they do. I'm sure there are cartels in Australia, but what I think the ultimate goal is, that's why they're threatening. So Richard, as we see, cannot be controlled. Like, and he's just doing whatever he wants.
Right.
The cartel wants to control him. that's why Spirits comes in, talks to Pamela, and she's like, I can't control him. Like I can't like they want him to like her have influence on him.
Right.
And she's like, I can't get through to him. They're like, well, find a way because you would be dead if I wanted to kill you. Like he's basically like threatening her. Remember he said something about her face when he leaves. He's like, oh, you have such a pretty face, and you know he's gonna mess up her face if like, she don't do something.
That's
Oh
like
yeah, it's a big thing.
that's like on Santa Barbara with Peter. She was like, "Oh, you have such a beautiful face. It'd be a shame." And she puts a cigarette by his face.
Right.
What else?
Melissa, Cole, and Linda, and asshole dad.
Linda's dad's just a dick. He never has a redemption.
Ugh,
Die already.
I know he's horrible. Everybody threatens this man. I think Chase and Maggie did the last bunch of episodes we watched. I think doesn't Cole make him open his birthday present?
Yeah, he like comes into the bakery, locks the door, puts the close sign up, and he's just always so like, "Get out of here! What are you doing?" He's like, "Shut up!"
Hate you.
Angry.
I hate life.
Yeah, he's like, "This is a present," and he's like, "I don't want a present." Like, shut up.
He's so
was like, whatever happened was like not me. Like, he's like, I'm not like bad. Like, I just like.
He's like, you're pushing your daughter away. Like,
right.
What is wrong with you?
Lance shows up and like under the guise that he wants a birthday cake, and when he leaves, he has a heart attack. And I thought this is when he dies. He dies, right? At that point.
I believe he does.
So I thought maybe this was him. Like, I thought he was just gonna die on the floor, but then he's like in the hospital. And like Cole and his daughter come to visit him in the hospital, and immediately he's like, "Get out of here!" Bleh. I'm just like, die already.
Doesn't the doctor even say, like, dude, calm down? Like, you're gonna die. Like, what is wrong with you?
Like, you're in here because you had a stress-related heart attack. Like, chill.
I like how this all this business for Michael. I'm like, we have Dan, we have Chase, we have like all of these people are just like coming into Michael's lap. Like, I'm the only doctor in town, baby.
Every time they show the exterior of the hospital, it looks like a walk-in clinic to me. It doesn't look like hospital-sized.
Yeah.
And it says like Tuscany Valley, like medical center or whatever. I'm just like,
It does look small. It does look like a clinic. It does really look small.
Oh, so you said
Melissa,
Cole, and Linda.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, so there was a scene where it was Melissa and Linda. They were like, you know, bantering back and forth. I think it was at the winery, probably Falcon Crest, and Cole comes up. And I was like, why would you say this to somebody? Like, they're walking away. She's like, hey, Linda, do you know that Cole's like the best lover I ever had? I'm just like, why would you say that to somebody? And Linda said something like, oh, how unfortunate for you that you just figured that out, or something.
No, she said, she's like, yeah, it's a shame you'll never have it again. Yeah. I was like, yeah, girl, fight back. Like, I thought I like Linda. The first time I watched it, I didn't really like Linda. I'm like, she's boring. She's a doormat, whatever. But after watching her and dealing with Melissa and stuff, I'm like, she's actually a pretty good woman. I kind of like her.
Melissa's always just like, you know, he loves me, right? You know, he's always thinking about me. Like, I don't think that's true.
And then how about the part where she brought them a gift? Melissa brought them a present, and she gives it to Linda outside. She's like, it's silk sheets. He loves silk sheets. And she's like, okay, just trashes them.
I know what he likes.
Linda just throws them right out. I'm like, yeah, girl. See, Linda can hold her own. She's doing good. But then the other time, remember the other time when Melissa was in Cole's bed? Oh, they bought a house too.
Melissa
and Cole bought a house.
I thought Melissa and Lance were on the same side, and now I feel like they're not. Like, I don't know. I feel like their attitudes for each other like switch on a dime. Is it because Terry's around?
I honestly don't know. Like, I think they're just living their own lives while they're together. Like, they just do their own thing.
Like, remember, like, I feel like the last things we saw with Lance and Melissa was he was just like, you're a hoe, whatever, and then she went to slap him, and then they made love in the barn, and he was like, you're still a hoe, and then she like stormed off. I guess because he knows that she still wants Cole. Like I'm not, I don't, or maybe it's the Joseph situation. So
There's a lot going on.
Lance knows, right, that Joseph's not his son, like
Yes,
biologically. Okay.
Lance knows that it's Cole. That's why he rubs it in his face every once in a while.
Oh, okay.
Um, Cole walks up. Melissa's in his bed, and she's like trying to like seduce him. And I think she put silk sheets on the bed for him. And then like that's when Linda comes in and like she grabs Cole and like kisses him, and it kind of does freak Linda out a little bit. And
Hmm.
she's like runs out or whatever.
Linda's
Um,
trying. She doesn't have the constitution to deal with this long term.
right? I
She's
mean, she
trying to
did
be
good for.
creative and like put on a face, but like I don't think she has what it takes to like battle Melissa long term.
Remember Maggie goes and sees that nun in New Orleans. Angela gives her information when she's doing the news story about this nun that worked closely with Jacqueline, but that nun died. So then they said there's another nun that was friends with that nun that lives in New Orleans. So Maggie goes to New Orleans and talks to her and finds out that Jacqueline did sell Richard and that he hid art or something, some kind of like French art or something to get power. And that she was married to Johann Riedman, the head of the Gestapo in Paris, which is how the last episode ended, which is pretty bad. So Jacqueline is in deep shit with these mean, horrible people,
Is that
which is
how
what
she
the
became head of
cartel
the
is.
cartel or whatever?
Yes, yes.
Um, it's so
So
weird.
it's not
It's
pretty.
it's weird because I remember this reveal very vividly,
Hmm.
but I thought it happened already, or maybe because I was at that point I was just binging, and that's why it just feels like I seen this recently. I don't know, but I'm just like, oh, I thought we saw this already.
Yeah, there's another part too in that in the last episode we watched. Richard meets up with Norton Crane for a ceasefire because Norton Crane is the other guy I think that's involved with this cartel.
Mhm.
And remember in the we didn't talk about the parking lot incident where Richard gets chased around by the car.
Oh, right. Yes. Well, that's the cartel, right? Messing with him.
That's the cartel, and that's
Richard
why
had
he
some
goes to
moves. He was like jumping up, swinging from the rafters.
yeah, but he almost got killed. But Pamela saved his ass because
Yeah.
Pamela got the car
Yeah.
and like drove the car right in front of the other car, Spheris' car. I
Yeah.
think it was Spheris that was trying to kill him.
Yeah.
Either that or just threaten him. But it looked like they was trying to kill him because it looked like he
Yeah.
was gonna run his ass over.
Yeah. Like
Um,
killing him would just be like a happy accident if he got him.
well, that's the thing. They wouldn't have gotten anywhere if he were to get killed. You know what I mean? Like if they want power, like that, you can't kill them because then you're not going to get that power. So
Maybe it was
I
just to
feel like it.
injure him just to scare him. Like maybe just tap him with the bumper or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because he, yeah. So yeah, I feel like that stuff's important to what's coming because this stuff it does lead to the finale. Yeah, the season finale. It drives to all that. Oh, we Dan ended up going to the hospital. Remember, he collapsed.
Mhm.
Um, Michael tries to do a surgery on him, but his hand shakes. Got the shakes.
Yes. And for a minute, when because he says, I can't do your, does he say I can do your surgery or,
No, he's in doing the surgery. He does tell him he doesn't want to do the surgery, but Dan's like, I'll
right.
never get the surgery unless you do it. And then that's what happens, and that's why Dan's mad at him when he finds out he did not do the surgery but he couldn't. Like, we're doing a
Yeah.
shaky doctor. Hello.
No. But, and at
No.
that moment, I was like, wait, didn't he do Chase's surgery? But Chase didn't have surgery, right? Because Michael said no.
Yeah, I don't think he did. He just
So
his
Chase,
infections
Chase just
stopped or
has like this
whatever.
bullet fragment in him
Yeah,
forever.
yeah, it happens. It's a real life thing. There's a
But I
couple
feel
people
like,
I know with bullets in them, unfortunately.
really?
Yeah.
I feel like I've always heard like, oh, maybe I'm thinking about bone fragments. Because wasn't that the thing on Knots Landing with Karen after her shooting that there was a
Yes.
bone fragment and that it was like paralyzing her because it was
That
shifting?
story that story still confuses me because I don't think they ever got that out. And then they say she was dying.
They didn't do a surgery? No, they
I
did.
don't
They
think
did. They
Did
did.
they?
'Cause
Okay.
I remember because Greg was on that episode, and he was like, they were doing the feeling in the toe. They were like, blink if you could feel it, and he was like, and she was like blinking, hard blinking.
So she did have the surgery.
Yeah,
Okay,
she
I
did.
didn't remember.
Yeah. She was like
And let's.
against the surgery because of what happened with Sid, and that's why she was afraid to have it.
We
Um,
got a house tricks from Emma in episode 15.
we did. Is that when you texted me?
No, I did it before. I'm like, oh well, we'll discuss. But so we do have to talk about Emma's story because so she goes to, she's still trying to get Michael throughout all these episodes.
Mhm.
And in the meantime, she meets Julia's doctor and she's like, oh, he's cute.
I
And
love
then
when
she
Emma likes
kind of,
somebody. She's always like, "Hey, Mr. Man."
I know. So she does, I think, eventually go on a date with him in these episodes. And they're just kind of like early on dating. So,
Is it the
and it,
psychiatrist he meets?
yeah, the psychiatrist, Julia's psychiatrist.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think she goes on a date with him, and she's just like, she's still I think she talks about how she was just in love with Michael and just getting over that and stuff like that. But
She had a whole
it's cute.
relationship in her head that she has to get over.
I know it's a sin. They really should have had him date her, but whatever. Terry wins. Ho, Terry wins.
For now, for now.
I know. I feel like we need to. Oh, there was stuff with going on with that Klieger guy too.
Who?
I forget what that Klieger. Remember Angela was trying to get. She wants to crush Chase. She's trying to get this Klieger guy involved. Um,
I know one of the episodes basically it was basically Chase serving Angela with papers saying that she had no control over Falcon Crest anymore. And it was one
yeah.
of those, endings where she's just like like thwarted again. She's like, if he thinks like he's gonna take Falcon Crest from me, he's got another thing coming too. And it's like closing credits. Like just one of her like grand pronouncements, like, I'll take him down.
Yeah, that's why she said she'll ruin
I,
Falcon Crest if she
I
has
always get a
to.
kick out of those episode endings where she's just like she makes like this grand villainous announcement, like
Well, that's what she's kind of doing. She meets a guy. She's trying to get everybody's crops. She's buying everybody. She remember that she met with that dude Simon
Mhm.
for his crops to make Chase look bad, basically. She's doing like little things while Philip is doing his other things to keep Falcon Crest in line,
Yeah.
while Angela's trying to destroy it, or at least make Chase look bad, so nobody will sell to him, basically.
Hmm.
And she pays people off. She pays that other dude off in the last episode. Remember, he like made a deal with him with Chase, but they didn't sign anything. And then later on, he calls Chase and he cancels it. So
Hmm.
that's kind of important, all that little stuff with Angela going on in the
He calls
background.
he calls Chase from Angela's office because she's standing
Yeah,
there.
yep. So
um,
that's basically what Angie's doing in these episodes. And then
I like
they did have.
I get a kick when you or the people on the show call her Angie because I feel like it irritates her.
And they
I
did,
used to really get a kick out of when Cole used to say it to her face.
right.
Like, Angie,
I
what's
like the hearing. I like the hearing that they had too, where Chase was like trying to, talk against the racetrack, and then Richard wanted to say something, and Angela like do something, like stop him, because this is like the only. This is why it's important, like with Chase and Angela, because they do bond in trying to fight Richard. Uh, Either toward the end of the season or like early. I forget when it happens, but it does happen soon. But these are the episodes that lead to that.
See, I kind of zone out with like the business details. Like we've talked about this before. But
Yeah.
I just get such a kick out of just like the scenes, just like them being like at odds with each other. Everybody, like Melissa and Linda, Chase and Angela, like because they're just so witty and like just like the
Hmm.
dialogue is so good that I'm just like I love it.
Yeah, it is. It's really good because they're all fighting each other, but they all have to be, well, Chase and Angie at this point need to be on the same side, or
Yeah.
Richard's just gonna win.
Right. It's like
which ultimately is what happens, I believe.
the
Like,
enemy of my enemy is my friend or something.
yeah. But a couple times Angela has gone to him and she's like, "You can't fight him alone. Like, we need to be together in this." And he's
Right.
like, Whatever." But he does. I know. I'm pretty sure in these next few episodes it does change a bit. But that's all I got, I believe.
I was just thinking, like,
Okay.
do Angela and Chase ever say that they love each other? Like,
No, but
doesn't decide we're family and I love you. Like,
this is the acting is what tells you though. Like, so when like that field moment between them two was important because like them just bonding over they care about the land, that was important to Angela.
yeah.
And even though she is against him, she is like kind of on his side a little tiny bit. Like
She just wants
it's
it
the
for her land.
acting.
She wants the land for her.
Right. Remember when he comes and sees her at the house at one point too, and she's like, "Why are you here?" She's like in her nightgown up on the steps,
Mhm.
and they have like a little banter. She's like,
Yeah.
"All right, can I go to bed now? Like, get out." But
Yeah, that's all I have.
yeah, she's
I
good.
have.
Same.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for another edition of Don't Touch My Grapes, covering Falcon Crest. As always, you can find us on all the socials at Queers and Soaps. And until next time, have a great night. Bye.
Bye.